Retro Quickies, Action 52, games 36 through 40.
Oh my god, it's the ride that never ends, and I want it to end so badly at this point. Almost there. Okay, let's just do this. What's the next game?
Storm over the desert.
An Operation Desert Storm reference, interesting choice to make. This is also one of the only, 3 games in the cart that has its own unique title screen rather than a generic black text wall. You play as a tank shooting all the other tanks, army men, and occasionally giant Saddams that run past. It's basically one-player combat, but somehow even slower than that game, as it can take forever for enemies to spawn in, and sometimes they just wander off the stage before you can shoot them. Now, a lot of folks seem under the impression that you're invincible in this game, but no, you can actually die, but you just have a weirdly large health pool, something that you really don't need since the enemies never really pose much of a threat. The tanks don't even really fire at you, and the little army men running around are just there to be hard-to-hit fodder. Fodder, that's a good way to describe everything that's on this cart, considering how much of it feels like it's there for maximum padding.
Mash Man.
One thing I have to give a lot of credit to this cart for, there aren't actually a lot of reused assets in most of the games. Many of them use unique sprites. However, that streak ends here and now, as our main character of Mash Man is the same guy from Fuzz Power, just wearing clothes and a pair of cool guy shades. I know I usually talk about how basic and terrible the platformers are, but I don't think they get much more basic than this. There aren't any pits, the enemies don't move, and most of the obstacles consist of these big spikes that are just floating in front of you. The big problem, though, is that most of the time, these obstacles are just the right height to make jumping over them very awkward and difficult, coupled with unusually shaped hitboxes. What's more, you can't really be sure if jumping on enemies is actually hurting you or them, because they do disappear, but it seems to decrease your health, which of course you don't have any idea how much you have. You can actually beat this game real easy with a turbo button, just holding it down and hopping up and down the entire time, which is what I did, and trust me, the entire game is like this. The difficulty does not increase, the enemies don't alter or become any more unpredictable, it is basically just a straight line. So while it is a game that you are capable of beating, which is better than most of the other platformers, it is one of the most boring games on the cart. But hey, I got a full 3 paragraphs out of this game, which is not something I can say for
They came.
Whoa, easy there, Action 52. This game is meant for kids, after all. It's a single-screen space shooter where you shoot at enemies, and then the game crashes when you try to move up to the next level. There are actually power-ups, but they don't seem to do anything. What's more, it has the same horrible shooting quirk as Jupiter Scope, where the direction you're moving is the direction you're shooting as well.
Laser League.
Laser is spelled with a Z because it's cools like that, and this whole game is full of spelling and grammar errors. This is another generic space shooter where you scroll from left to right shooting enemies, and it's so poorly programmed that it just flips between level 1 and level 2, but that's it, moving on!
Billy Bob.
You want to know what's cool about this game? The fact that you can't play it for very long. Due to the game's horrible fall damage coding, you will always die when you enter the second room of the first level, because while the obstacles are randomized, the level layout is not, and you'll always have this sheer drop here that will kill you every time. I'm going to give this one a little bit of credit, they were a bit more ambitious here. It almost seems like they were trying to emulate the original Prince of Persia look or feel here, but the problem there is that due to the random nature of the obstacles, compared to the slow and deliberate speed of your movement, even if you could make it past the second screen, you probably wouldn't make it much further because you can't accurately predict when it would be safe to climb or jump over an obstacle. So it's still bad, but I appreciate the attempt at making something just slightly more ambitious than the other platformers. What's that? Ending one of these videos on a slightly positive note? Well, we can't have that. I can't wait until we get to the final 12 games and completely lose my will to live. Happy day.